And what is this place called?
YPO Valley. In fact, I was going to tell you guys a little bit about it right now.
YPO Valley.
Alright, so guys, this little view that we have here is just our little sneak peek view of the valley. It's a lot better on our last stop, but what we are looking at here is one of our last functioning Hawaiian villages. This village here still functions on a lot of the old style that our ancestors did. They're a bartering village also. Everything down there, all self-sufficient. Everybody grows different things and whatnot and helps each other out. So you can trade eggs for fish, taro for bread, things like that. It's a very, very cool community. It's a place where your guides are actually from. This is where our family stems from. My brother and I, our family leads back all the way to the ancient times, way before King Kamehameha. Our land was obtained to our family from our King Umi and King Liloa, and we managed to keep it in our family ever since. This is a place that we're really proud of. We are a small percentage. 70% of what we're looking at is owned and governed by our Hawaiian trusts. Anytime those families can't keep up their responsibility or whatnot, the land goes to the trust, remains protected, but then goes on our leasehold list, where Hawaiian families can get a lease for 7 years. Number one responsibility would be growing our staple starch, the taro. Our taro plant is what we grow down there in our farms, square formations down there, just like the rice paddies. Takes about 4 to 8 inches of mud, 3 to 6 inches of water on top to grow our staple starch. It's a really important plant. In fact, we have a nice example right here. This plant here is what we grow in our patches down there. We grow them in rows. Comes harvest time, we're pulling that corn out from under the mud, spaghetti-like root system coming out of the corn. It's taro. We call it kalo. It was brought here like a canoe plant. Polynesians who settled here, the original Hawaiians, brought this from Polynesia in that area as a sustainable food. It was one of many items, not very many, but maybe about 13 or 14 items that they brought that they know that they could plant again and be able to, regenerate. So this is the taro. This is one of them varieties. This is grown dry land. Original type of taro was grown down in the valley in water. But we have different varieties now, and they've learned to grow in the dry. So what we do with this plant is we eat every part of it, leaf, stalk, and core. The leaf here we wrap our meats with, throw it in our underground ovens. It's like a spinach. It turns into like a spinach wrap type of thing. So it's really good stuff. Also the stalk here, we'll cut it up, throw it in soups and stews like celery, that type of thing. And of course the bottom is like a potato, Hawaiian potato. We garnish it like a potato also. Cut it up, make chips, we bake it, throw bacon bits, sour cream. I skipped lunch, that hurt kind of right there. Yeah, that's really good stuff, and that is our staple starch. That's what we grow in our valley. We've been taro farmers our whole life. The thing about this side of the island and this valley is that it has that everlasting water source. So our culture settle around water, of course. When you settle, you're looking for that water source, and then you can, grow from there. So this valley was kept to the kings only. They probably weren't the first to find it or settle here, but when they saw the resources, of course, and the protection, they kept it for themselves. The one thing that added on to that was the staple starch. It was the only place that could accommodate that original taro. And the kings, very smart, they would have used that starch like a currency. Control of it, disperse it out to who and where they wanted to. So a lot of control. This valley here was once the capital of the whole state in the ancient days. If anything important needed to be ran through, or any kind of group movements or anything, it needed to be passed through this valley here. This is where all our royalty was. So really, really rich in history. We will be covering a lot of this valley on our last stop where we get that 180. And then we can pinpoint and graph out landmark wise and relate the times to back then to now, which is really still close. And that's what we really, really pride ourselves in on this side, is that we still use our resources like our ancestors. We're still gathering from our rivers. We're still gathering from our ocean. The Hawaiian fish pond down there. We're still getting our fish, gathering our water from our springs. Very important. So that's what we like to pride ourselves with on this side of the island. We're still really, really, really resourceful. And it's very important nowadays on a little speck island in the middle of the Pacific. Our power ends up losing power plants or whatever goes down. Power shuts down, we can't get import or export. Guess who's going to be smiling? The Valley Boys. Life is normal. We're going to be smiling. bunch of plants. I'd like to point out a few before we head off. Hawaiian culture. Every single plant in our culture was used for something, whether it was medicinal, spiritual. Nowadays we find recreational, but they use everything was used for something, and everything was gathered a certain way too. You wouldn't be gathering unless you really needed it. There was also always something with protocol in gathering.
It's not down
Very
this pap.
important. And when you gather, you replant same time. So you want to keep the patches of whatever you're picking regenerating. For instance, guys, if you guys gaze over this way, this is a very important one. We got these ginger here. This is an avapuhi ginger. This one comes up only once a year. It sleeps. So when you pick this and you replant, the patch regenerates again. So what we're looking at here, this little patch is very old. This was planted by ancestors. And because we keep picking and replanting, we still got it as a resource. This plant right here is actually the Hawaiian shampoo. Anybody heard of Paul Mitchell? Hair products. Yep. Avapuhi. This was the foundation of his business here. He grows these on a farm. But we don't want to pick them too early. The bulb pops up, like so here. Little guys here, and it has a natural fragrant lotion. Put it in your hair on your skin, you rinse it off, it's like squeaky clean. Very good stuff. Paul Mitchell harnessed it, got rich, it's wine. Really is working this product. This is all about food right here. And this is an older patch. This is what our ancestors, when they walked up to the trails and gazed up in the rivers above, they would pick these bulbs on their way up. And then when they got to the waterfalls of the rivers, they'd have this silken shampoo. So that's why we find them on our main King's trails that we have here. You guys are standing on a very, very historical trail, possibly one of the most trafficked trails used in the ancient times. This trail here goes all the way up to this side, and I guess I would have got my ancestors to point A to point B very quickly. They navigated all their trails by stars also. Not only did they navigate their way here by canoe by stars, but we did not have any transportation, animal-wise, like horses or anything like that. We walked everywhere. And the only other thing we could jump on was a canoe. So when we're on land, everything was walking, point A to point B. They navigated even their trails. These trails here connect to those beach trails, ala ka'akai, that we have down by our hotels. Same belt trails, yeah, all the way around the island.
So these trails are the only ones that lead down there?
They do lead down, but they're not the only ones. Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of trails that drop down into the valley, but is that a trail? That's the foot trail. We'll be talking about that on our last stop. That's the trail we take to visit our neighbor Valley Waimanu. I'll let you guys know a lot about that. But we have some natives. We have our tea plant here, very spiritual plant to the culture, used for original hula skirts. The leaf was also twined into rope, the brown cord. Very important cord also. It was a way you could identify ali'i or kings. The people of the valley basically made their cord only out of that leaf. So when that canoe pulled up on the beach, and if anybody was that observant to know that their rope was made out of the brown leaf of the key, their head and knees and body would have to hit the ground. The ones that didn't would have just made a kapu, and they probably would have lost their life. So you need to know certain things. Who would what? Very important. So that leaf there is also a good omen leaf. Here in Hawaii, very spiritual people. That's a big part of our culture. We believe in the good, you gotta believe in the bad. So this was gifted to us by our akua, or our gods, as help to ward off the evil spirits. So if you take a look at this plant now, when we return back up to our village, check out the villages. Every house, four corners of the property, long lines in front as hedging. Those were planted for generations ago by even our grandparents or our great-grandparents when they created that little town. That little town has a special story, and I'll tell you guys a lot about it when on our last stop. That's to relate to this valley too, and that view. So we also got our hardwood here, ohia. This is the fourth densest wood to our culture. We had many different types. Lost a lot of our hardwoods in that trade times. We would trade tons of our koa or our sandalwood for 6 nails, maybe an axe. That's before metal was introduced to the island. So we lost a lot of our hardwood. This was one of the existing that we still have today. Ohia, first to pop up after a lava flow, and it's also a very good burning wood plant. This wood here is perfect for our underground ovens, our smoke houses, and preparing our food. Only thing is, you're going to be really lucky to be able to use that wood. We do not gather by cutting. When the limb drops, that's the tree giving. That's when we can use that wood. So we're really, really happy when we can find some of those. That's a few of our natives in the area that we have here. Of course, this is where we would find them more so nowadays, is on our cliffside. Over 100 years, plantation industry here was finally replaced by the eucalyptus, so we haven't seen any of our native forests for that amount of time. In my generation, I haven't seen it. Only little portions up, like where we'll be traveling. But when we do need to gather our resources and things that we need for our luau's, medicine or whatnot, now we need to climb our cliffs. That's where we find them. So
you don't farm any of the hardwood. There's not.
No, not industry-wise.
Just to grow it.
Well, now some of our the people in the area, you know, they know how important that wood was. They're planting small forest strips now. But the thing is, they're not going to see harvested the right time or the next lifetime. Hawaiian hardwood takes hundreds of years to mature. You know, so that's why we lost so much of it.
And the government hasn't set aside any land just.
You know, I'm going to have to talk to you after this because that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
Instead of the eucalyptus. Yeah. So guys, we have macadamia nut right here, brought to us by Australia. When it rains, we have chocolate covered ones on the ground. Sorry. But this was tried as an industry here on our side, along with the coffee. When you guys think of coffee, Kona coffee, do you ring a bell?
Yeah.
They tried it here first. Unfortunately, did better on the Kona side. Shucks, it would have been YPO coffee. No glory for us again. But they moved it all to the Kona along with the mac nuts. So we would find all our mac nut and coffee industries there. They brought the sugar to our side. Why? The everlasting sweet water. Sugar requires a little bit more of a moist soil, and that's what we had on this side. So we had all the sugar on this side here. You had a question, sir?
The plants themselves, I mean, obviously on a volcanic rock, there are no plants. You just, I think, answered one, like the macadamia, the coffee,
Right.
was all brought here by early people,
Right.
so that's how they got here. What about like the
The
ginger
oatmeal.
and the thyme and stuff like that?
These were, some of them were brought by canoe, but a lot of them were existing. So what happens is, my brother even explained this to me, when they stay somewhere so long to where they, endemic I think, that's what it's called. We have a few of those here. But these were industry, these were long after, yeah.
Okay.
So these were probably a little over 110 years old. And then the sugar is about a little over 100 years old is when the sugar came. Sugar plantation ended in 96. Eucalyptus came in 97. And they're about 18 years maybe around there. They're supposed to be harvested at 15. So the cool thing I like about eucalyptus, when they harvest it, they cut it. We still got a lot of our natives growing because of the eucalyptus. When the sugarcane was in, it was thick. You know, you couldn't even really walk through it. And what they did was harvest it by bulldozer and bird. So like I said, you know, a lot of that native forestry never had a chance. So now when we travel through, guys, if you got a chance to gaze to the side, of course, when feeling safe enough to, you might see some of our ferns and whatnot in the middle. So that's one of my positives with that. Yeah.
Oh, I've tried it before.
Did you like it?
But if you take the root entirely itself,
And boil it, steam it like a potato.
it's like a potato.
Exactly. Just a little more dense. Oh man, a little bit more taste to it. You have a little bit more of a earth taste.
So just mushing it up. And
Yeah.
it gives it
The poi is you're just adding water. Unfortunately, by the time you folks would get it done at your hotel, it would be about a week old. It ferments, it doesn't rot, which is why they could bring it on the canoe. You just add water. When it takes on a more sour taste as it gets a little older, you can eat it up to 3 weeks. My grandmother, it would be growing literally out of the bowl, and she'd just whip it up and eat it. I'm a one-day poi old guy. I like it right out of the grinder where it still tastes like a mashed, almost maybe like a mashed potato paste kind of thing, where it would be more bland more than sour. So if you guys experience sour, it was probably 3 to 4 days old. And they add a lot of water to stretch it with all those luau's they're throwing in. So it's too bad you guys are getting the first impression of our starch as it tasting like that, because the original starch was really bland, like a starch, like a potato. But it didn't have that, so they could eat it all day. And then if they wanted it, you know, fermented wise, they'd wait a few days or whatnot. Yeah, so. Boy, I like it. First day.
Do you have how many birds here?
Huh?
Hummingbird.
Hummingbirds, yeah, we do. More the
I was
higher
watching 'em
elevation.
right there.
That is more of our Chinese rice bird too, and we have honey creepers with a little hook bill.
They're about that big.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was about half a dozen.
Oh, they like the
Flying
yellow
between
blossoms.
Okay.
It's a shame they won't